To absorb my powers.
Charles, you had it easy.
Have you ever wondered where our favorite superheroes came from? Where did they get their powers from? And who were the people behind them before they became such influential figures among the people? Today, we're diving into the life and relationships of one of the most fascinating superheroes in the Marvel Universe, Rogue. In this video, we'll discuss her family members who helped mold her into the hero she is today. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
And a hot bath. You taught me everything about my mutant powers.
Rogue the Outcast. Born as Anna Marie in Mississippi, Rogue grew up with her aunt after her mother's disappearance. From the grief of her sister's death, Rogue's aunt became a strict guardian to her, which turned her into a rebellious child. When she was a teenager, Rogue accidentally absorbed the life energy and psyche of her boyfriend Cody, putting him into a permanent coma. This incident turned her cold, and she ran away from her aunt's house. If you've seen the movie, the events are depicted differently, such as when she runs away after accidentally killing her mother and meets Wolverine. But in the comics, she actually gets discovered by Mystique and starts her life living among fellow mutants as a powerful superhero. Depicted as one of the most powerful superheroes in the X-Men, she has some unique powers. Besides her ability to absorb life force from beings with her bare hands, she can also absorb superpowers from fellow mutants. In one of the most famous instances, she absorbed all the powers of Ms. Marvel in the Marvel Superheroes issue in 1992. Mystique, the Vengeful Mother. Mystique is the adoptive mother of Rogue. From the beginning of the comics, she has been mostly portrayed as a villain and the right-hand woman of supervillain Magneto. They've fought against humanity all their life for the sake of metahumans. Her powers to shapeshift, agility, longevity, and her skill in martial arts make her one of the most prominent X-Men of all time. Well, she's not entirely on the side of darkness, because there have been times when she's fought alongside Professor X to fight against common enemies. Mystique first meets Rogue in the Ms. Marvel comics published in 1977. Mystique learns about Rogue from her partner and lover, Destiny, who advises her to meet Rogue. So, disguised as her standard human form, Raven Darkholme, Mystique meets and adopts a young Rogue. Mystique raises Rogue as her own daughter and trains her to become a skilled operative. Mystique manipulates Rogue to join the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants in the Uncanny X-Men BTW, which she gladly joins, thanks to Mystique. But she quits later in favor of joining and working with the X-Men in the Uncanny X-Men series in 1983. After working alongside Mystique and Destiny in the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, she meets and absorbs Ms. Marvel's abilities and memories using her powers. This gives her a new perspective in life, changing her loyalty by joining the X-Men under the command of Charles Xavier. Destiny, the mother she never had. Destiny, also known as Irene Adler, is a powerful mutant with clairvoyant abilities who can see the future and its consequences with remarkable accuracy. Though we've never seen her in the X-Men movie series, she's been a really powerful mutant who's equally important for both superheroes and villains to predict the possible outcome in the future. Being the romantic love interest, Mystique first encounters her during the late 1800s, during a mob attack, where Mystique, disguised as a man, runs away from the crowd and gets saved by Destiny. Over time, they get really close, forming a deep bond with each other. In the Uncanny X-Men storyline, Destiny sends Mystique to recruit Rogue into the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, which leads to Mystique adopting Rogue in the end, and making Destiny her adoptive mother through her relationship with Mystique. This brought a definitive change in their storyline, and gave depth to both characters throughout the comics. Destiny soon becomes Rogue's mother and mentor figure, guiding her through the mutant community. The Legacy Virus storyline is crucial in Rogue's life. Rogue gets her hands into Destiny's diary, where she gets to know the predictions of Destiny in her life. And later in the Days of Future Past storyline, the death of Destiny heavily impacts Rogue, leaving her with a sense of loss and unresolved emotional turmoil. Despite Destiny's passing, her influence continues to shape Rogue's character and affect her decisions throughout her life. Nightcrawler, the brother from another mother. Nightcrawler, or Kurt Wagner, is the biological son of supervillain Mystique and demonic mutant Azazel. He first appeared in the 1975 comics, Giant-Sized XM. In the comics, it was first revealed that he was found by a woman named Mergali Sarads, a Romani sorceress, on the road and was raised by her. But later in the comics, Mystique admitted that she threw him in a river after a mob attack tried to kill them, and his father saved him from drowning and gave him to one of his ex-girlfriends, who turned out to be Margali Sarads to to raise him. Nightcrawler inherited his mutant genes from his mother and his dad's demonic appearance and teleportation powers. He grew up with Margale in a circus where she worked as a fortune teller before she discovered his true powers. But later, when he discovered them, he found himself as a captive in the same circus. Professor Xavier saved him from the circus and then recruited him into the X-Men. Except for his teleportation abilities, he can crawl walls, see in the darkest of spaces with his night vision, and camouflage himself to blend into shadows. While the comics have yet to get into the depth of their relationship, Rogue is the adoptive sister of Nightcrawler through Mystique. They've always been close friends and have fought numerous fights while working with the X-Men. Nightcrawler, the complete opposite of his birth parents, is highly empathetic, which helps him build a strong connection with Rogue. He provides her with emotional support and becomes one of her closest friends on the team.
Get it away! Turn it off! Stay away from me!
Gren Creed, the hateful stepbrother. Gren Creed was the son of Mystique and a mutant assassin, Victor Creed, aka Sabretooth, while she was disguised as a German spy. Even though she gave him up for adoption soon after his birth, she kept her eyes on him throughout his life. While both his parents were mutant villains, he did not inherit any mutant abilities, but certainly got the villainous character. Through Mystique, he's the maternal half-brother of Nightcrawler and the stepbrother of Rogue. It's rare to see a mutant child born without superpowers. Grayson possesses no powers, but he's very charismatic and intelligent, with durability and solid hand-to-hand combat skills, which he learned in the military. He hated mutants from the beginning, but later in the comics, when he learns about his real parentage, his hatred grows even stronger. At one point, he alone becomes the reason for the death of 147 mutants. In the comics, he has encountered his half-sister Rogue briefly in the Days of Future Present storyline. As the leader of an anti-mutant organization, he has since played a significant role in the comics during the killing of the mutants. Magneto, an unlikely love story. Magneto, or the Master of Magnets, is undoubtedly one of the most powerful villains in the Marvel Universe. He's always been the primary antagonist of the X-Men, whose only goal is to establish a world full of mutants and the extinction of humans. Since he appeared in the first issue of the X-Men comics, he's been an iconic figure in the Marvel Universe. He was born in Nazi Germany in the 1920s, with mutant powers that can manipulate any kind of metal using his electromagnetic powers. He can also create strong force fields, disable electronic devices, levitate himself, survive in space, and much more. Magneto has been depicted creating numerous conflicts between humans and X-Men. Let's talk about his relationship with Rogue. It's never really been fully established in contemporary comics. Except Magneto being a mentor and the commander of Rogue during her stint in the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. At the beginning of her storyline, she grew up under the guidance of Mystique, who helped her in the fights against humans. Later, she left the group and joined the X-Men under the guidance of Professor X, Magneto's frenemy. But in the alternate storyline, Age of Apocalypse, an ancient mutant, Sabah Nur, kills Professor X, and Magneto builds his own X-Men to fight against the ancient mutant. This is where he meets Rogue and forms a close relationship with her. While it became one of the most controversial and disliked storylines, the writers managed to get them into a relationship. Well, this happens after Rogue absorbs Polaris' magnetic powers in the X-Men Deadly Genesis, which allows her to touch Magneto with her bare hands. Soon after, Magneto and Rogue take their relationship to the next level, and even produce a son named Charles out of their union. Gambit, the soulmate. Appearing in the comics in the 1990s Uncanny X-Men, Gambit, also known as Remy LeBeau, is a mutant with the power to create, control, and manipulate kinetic energy. Born in New Orleans, Louisiana, he was kidnapped from a hospital, and then grew up on the streets before getting adopted by a crime lord named Jean-Luc LeBeau. But after some incidents, he left his adoptive family and wandered around the world doing odd jobs. Even though he developed his powers early in his childhood, he kept them hidden from everyone to save himself from danger. But while wandering around the world, he met Storm under the captivity of Shadow King, after which Storm helped him get recruited into the X-Men. Except for his powers to produce and control kinetic energy, he's a highly skilled martial artist. He can also communicate with others using his telepathic powers. He also possesses hypnotic charm, which he can use to win over both his friends and enemies. Except in the alternate universe, Rogue has always been portrayed as the romantic interest of Gambit. It won't be a mistake to call their love story one of the most loved storylines in the entire Marvel Universe. The spark between them started when they encountered each other in the Uncanny X-Men, and they feared Rogue's uncontrollable powers, which could have resulted in Gambit's death. Soon after, Rogue ultimately got control of her powers, and they managed to start their relationship without fear of Gambit being killed by Rogue's powers. But in 2018's X-Men Gold, they finally married after years of their relationship. Conclusion. Rogue's life has been a roller coaster ride of fun and troubles. She has been through it all. She saw her mother's death, put her boyfriend in a coma, ran away from her home, and then became a supervillain by joining the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Later, she became a superhero leading the X-Men, fighting for a safe world. Though she struggled from childhood to cope with her emotions and find her own space between good and evil, she later managed to set foot on the side of good and became an influential leader of the X-Men. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.